The King's own Immemorial 1st Infantry Regiment of the Spanish Army is considered to be the oldest armed units in the world. There is certain proof of this, and according to what the chronicles mention, King Ferdinand III the Saint, in 1248, during the conquest of Seville, with some of his men-at-arms, assaulted and took a tower. Seemingly, with such boldness and bravery they gained the admiration of the king. The campaign finished, and with the consequent disbandment of troops, King Ferdinand decided to permanently keep with him said force, giving origin to the permanence of the armies, that is to say, the origin of itself. On the 28th of August 1632, on the initiative of Philip IV, a special corps of troops was ordered to be formed with veteran soldiers, re-enlistments and knights of noble ancestry, men so skilled that they only took arms when the monarch assumed command in person, designating it King's Guard colonelship. Quote, its organization commenced in Almansa in 1634, its force fixed at 15 companies with 90 harquebusiers, 40 musketeers, and 60 corselets and pikemen each. Later, in 1638, it was augmented to 20. Its first colonel, Count Duke of Olivares, Don Gaspar de Guzman, whose post was the recently created King's Guard colonelship, was in command of very distinguished soldiers of great renown. In 1640, Philip IV elevated it to the category of King's Guard Regiment, and in 1664 to Castile Tercio. From 1701 to 1710 it was dedicated to its ancient mission, guarding the monarch, and it was in 1707 when it received the designation Castile, and in 1710 that of Castile Immemorial Infantry Regiment. It gained glory in the Spanish War of Succession and the Italian campaigns. Eventually it received the name King's Infantry Regiment on the 7th of January 1766. The same year, King Charles III, persuaded by the antiquity of the regiment, declared it the King's Immemorial. After diverse historical changes in losing and receiving its name, it received its present designation in 1995. Traditionally, the regiment is linked to the Spanish royal household. All the princes of Asturias since 1862 are enrolled as honorary soldiers in the 1st Company. Following the tradition, Don Felipe de Bourbon y Greixa assumed his post as a soldier in 1977. Traditional dress uniform, instead of uniformity, and is what is practiced in other countries with a military tradition, in Spain as well. King Juan Carlos I in 1981 accepted the proposal of the CSA to equip 2 companies, which could render honors and participate in established ceremonies special in character, with the uniforms and armaments of the end of the reign of Charles III. The period chosen was that from 1780 to 1786, during which, in accordance with the organization of Spanish infantry, each regiment had 2 battalions, each one formed of 9 companies, 1 of grenadiers and 8 of fusiliers. The description in detail of the uniform is as follows. Fusilier uniform. It had a white uniform, with the green emblem, that of the king. By special grace it was dressed elegantly in the colors of the royal household troops, and as a special grace they wore bottonieres on the vest and dress coat. Grenadier uniform. To wear this uniform there existed a norm in the selection of grenadier personnel. They must not wear glasses nor a beard. Now it is possible to wear a beard. In this era the grenadier company was considered to be a distinction of preference, usually chosen over the fusilier companies by the bravest and tallest soldiers. These troops, chosen not only for the height, but also for the valor and bravery, posted at the head of the regiment, escort the colors and the first in the trenches. As a vanguard and reconnaissance force, they wear a short saber. The grenadier cap augmented the stature and the brass maquereau on the strap of the cartridge pouch. In the same way, the sardinettes which they wore on their cuffs distinguished these preferred companies of the infantry. Current functions and structure. At present, the regiment is the unit responsible for providing the central seat of Army headquarters, security, services, and support needed for its functioning. It also helps give security to that which the authorities decide. These functions support the fundamental objective of facilitating the functioning of the different centers and organisms of which the headquarters is composed. To be able to achieve the following tasks: give security to the people as well as to the installations of headquarters, organize and direct services necessarily to guarantee the optimal functioning of material resources in the service of Buena Vista Palace, the supply of the centers into which it is integrated, in this way also guaranteeing, through its transport assets, the mobility of the authorities and the board of headquarters, rendering prescribed honors within the garrison of Madrid and is an exception in other garrisons. This function, perhaps the best known by the public in general, gives, in different social functions, a special colorfulness. This function entails, in broad outline, the reception of heads of state and other civil and military authorities and the participation in cultural, social and religious functions of great relevance in Madrid and in different points of the national geography. The regiment, in order to execute these functions, is organized, in addition to the command staff, in the following units: Old Guard of Castile, Honor Battalion, charged with rendering honors, with 2 companies of infantry, a section of artillery with 6 105 14th howitzers, and a corps of drums wearing uniforms and playing period instruments of the 1780s, automobile unit with 274 luxury vehicles, support unit with 2 companies, one of security which gives security to the installations as well as to the personnel of Army headquarters and to the centers and institutions located in Buena Vista Palace, and the other company of staff and support where Army personnel who execute functions of administrative support to the centers and institutions of AHQ are assigned. Service unit composed of a company and 2 units, one of installations support and the other of personnel support. The service company gives mechanical support to Buena Vista Palace, whereas the units keep watch over the proper functioning of the installations and the well-being of personnel posted at AHQ. The regimental band unit, composed of 65 members, well known all over Spain for its excellent concerts, wearing infantry regulation dress uniforms from 1908. In addition to its usual functions, it has participated, when it was required, in actions in behalf of the civilian population.